Well, Mr. Sze, we'd like to ask you firstly why you chose singing as a career.
Well, I think it's because the music is in my blood, and I love it.
But you had some opposition, didn't you, when you first decided to take up the concert platform as your career?
Yes, that was a long time ago. You see, the Western music is quite in a young stage in China, and mostly our parents would like to have their children to take up a little bit the so-called decent profession, like a lawyer or doctors or those things.
The concert platform is a bit frowned on, is it?
Well, they're quite new things during that time. Yes.
Now, what do you think about the introduction of Western music to China? Perhaps if I word it this way, we hear occasionally out here, not very often, Chinese music and Chinese songs.
Yes.
And to our untutored ear, they seem vastly different. Now, when you first heard Occidental music, did it strike you as strange?
First of all, I should say the music itself is based on the one word, that's beauty, which everyone, no matter what his Westerner or Easterner,
Yes.
the way to express one's feeling. But I should say there's a different of expression and a pattern in the music between West and East. And as a Chinese, and the first time I hear those music, it didn't struck me totally.
It didn't strike you very different at all?
No.
What about music that is contemporary music that's being composed in China now? Does that adhere to the old age pattern, or is it perhaps more similar to the music that we understand out here?
Yes. The way we are traveling along now is try to establish something like this, to keep our national flavor, so-called the original traditional melody form, but we try to adopt the Western harmony and the technique of writing.
Yes. The concert platform in China today, what type of program do they feature?
Well, I think you'll be surprised to hear that we, in the regular concert platform, you can hear all these standard works, like what I'm going to do in this country.
Yes.
And I did in my own country years ago.
Is more and more music being written now in China? Are there any modern composers?
Yes, there are some.
There are some.
But I don't know what they are doing right now.
No.
Yes.
Have you sung in any traditional Chinese opera or?
Unfortunately not.
You have.
Yes.
Well, if we can turn it to a little more personal, I think you're very fortunate in having a permanent accompanist with you, aren't you?
Well, I'm so lucky to have my wife also as my accompanist.
Yes, well, you're very fortunate. Mrs. Sze, if we could have a word from you, I believe I'm right in saying that your engagement to your husband has been known as perhaps the world's longest engagement. How long did it last?
Oh, well, to make it simple, I should say, as we started to know each other when we were schoolmates studying the music, the conservatory music in Shanghai. And we don't have many sympathizers in those days, you know. People think we are crazy. Started with this practicing piano 8 hours a day or singing 4 hours a day. What for? They cannot live on those kind of professions. So
that's why your father don't like me.
My parents, well, they don't like their daughter to marry such a a young man without a reliable profession in the future. See? So we keep on. Old-fashioned, we have to ask my parents' permission first. Make friendship for such a long time, just the longest engagement, what they said.
Well, I think I'm right in saying that your engagement weathered such things as not only parental opposition, but the Japanese invasion and a few strikes as well. What happened to you during the war, Mr.
Well, we had quite some adventurous stories during the wartime, and I was caught in Hong Kong when the Japanese strike
Yes.
Pearl Harbor during that time. And later on, I went to Chongqing, the war capital of China at that time, and started to teach over there. And later on, my wife followed my step, also came to Chongqing from Shanghai. And that was about 3,000 miles journey.
Yeah, that was, don't forget, I was not your wife.
Oh, no, that was Miss Lee.
Yes.
And that journey took 2 months by walking and sometimes on the wheelbarrows.
Yeah, that was a terrific journey.
It must have been.
Everybody tried to escape from the fire zone.
Yes.
And you could know that any minute you can hit the fire zone, you'll be caught by the enemy. And without any direction, we just, depend on our fate and just try to find a new way to go to this war capital, Chongqing.
Yes. And from there you managed to go to America. Is that the...
That's
Yes.
right, right
We were
after the war.
teaching. We were teaching the conservatory music during the wartime in Chongqing. And right after war, I went to America first.
We spent all the time in Chongqing during the wartime.
Mm.
Then we went to America right after the so-called VJ Day,
Yes.
after the war.
And you had the good fortune, I believe, Mrs. A, in enrolling at the Juilliard School of Music.
Yes.
That must have been very, very wonderful
Yes,
for
it's
you.
very famous to, I know abroad, I think there's
One
all
of the
said
best.
is one of the best music school in America.
Yes, we've heard quite a lot about it.
Yes, we're very proud of that too.
And now you have a son, and I think that you've named him after Alexander Kipnis.
That's right.
What association have you had with Mr. Kipnis?
You know, when I was in America, getting there, and I didn't know he's in America, but he is one of my idea,
Yes.
and I used to listen to his records when I was in the conservatory. And suddenly, that was about 2 years later or so, and I read some advertisement on the paper. So Alexander Kipnis giving a master class. Oh, I was so overjoyed and ran him up to say, Mr. Kipnis, can I come
Audition?
to you and sing for you? He said, yes, certainly. Then after that, I've been coaching with him for 2 years. And before I met him, when my son was born, and I thought they asked me for the name within 24 hours. So I thought the first thing struck me, said, no, let's start from A first. See, so A, then there will be A, yes, Alexander. Yes, Alexander Kipnis, a name after him.
And I believe that you have appeared at Carnegie Hall in the annual Christmas concert, which we know is given by the well-known Oratory
Yes,
Society.
yes.
Would you like to mention about that?
Well, I've been appearing with them for 4 years continuously, which is they never engage a singer like that. And I appear in the Carnegie also for my own reciters.
Yes.
That's a wonderful hall to sing in with, and I think everybody knows that hall.
Probably the climax of your career to have sung in the
Yes.
Carnegie Hall.
Every singer is looking forward to that. Place.
Naturally, yes. And another high spot in your career was an appearance as soloist in the Bach Cantata. That must have been...
Bach Cantata.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't remember which one is that. I've been.
You were singing
yes,
with Robert Shaw.
Oh yes, yes.
The chorale.
Yes. Yes, Robert Shaw is a rising, brilliant young conductor, chorale conductor, and that time he was organizing a group of so-called Robert Shaw chorale, 32 voices, and I'm quite honored and been asked to sing, take the solo part with the chorale.
And would you like to mention something about the singing of hymns? I think you feel very strongly about
hymns.
Hymns.
Yes, we do it every day. I mean, I go to Sunday. I go to church every Sunday, 3 times sometimes.
And you enjoy the singing of hymns.
Oh yes.
Yes. And what are your plans, Mrs. Sze, from now on?
Well, we have to continue our tour, and we'll see our Alex about end of November.
And what do you...
So 3 months to go.
And
After that...
I still have 45 concerts to go yet, including 15 in New Zealand.
And when you return to the United States,
Yes.
have you engagements there already waiting you?
Well, not till next January. I need some.
You need a rest, do you?
Oh yes, we when the first stop in the United States, we are
That's including in this trip.
Yes.
After this 45 concerts in Australia already, then here in the 15, then go back to Honolulu and the United States in West Coast, and we also go to Alaska.
Well, in saying thank you very much for coming in and sparing us the time, I see that the various press correspondents in America, they're all unanimous in comparing your voice very, very favorably with the late and very, very well-known Charliata.
Oh, well, they're very kind.
And Miss Lee, or Mrs. Sze, of course, you still play under your name of Miss Lee, do you?
Yes. Sometimes somebody calls me Miss Lee, sometimes Mrs. Sze. Yes, I don't mind.
And if I might say, in conclusion, how happy you must feel to have found sort of a new home in America. And your son, of course, is an American before you, isn't he?
Oh, yes, yes, certainly.
He is a New Yorker.
He gets up late and go to sleep very late. Typical New Yorker.
I see, whereas his parents have to rise early and practice hard, is that it? Thank you both very much indeed.
Thank you very much.